Dating in the Philippines gone wrong. Let's talk about some of the most common mistakes Westerners make when they fly to the Philippines and look for love. This is just my personal opinion. And the things that we're going to discuss, these are just things that I have observed through the experiences that I accumulated and through what I have seen from some of my friends. The first mistake that people make is that they're overly optimistic about somebody. And why is that a mistake? Well, if we compare now the difference between online and offline, offline, it's so much easier for you to get the information right on the spot. What do I mean by that? Well, it's so easy for you to look the person straight in the eye and potentially tell if that person is telling you the truth or not. And there's really no hiding offline because first of all, the person is right in front of you, so the person can't really be lying about how tall they are, what they look like, and some other things, right? Because it's all in front of you. It's very difficult to lie about that offline unless you're blind, or unless maybe it's late at night and you can't see certain things. But if that's not the case, then it's pretty easy for you to tell. Online, it's a different ballgame. When people come online to look for love, a lot of them typically do it when they're still in their home countries. And the mistakes that I have seen people make, and that happens so many times, thousands and thousands of times, maybe even tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of times, is that people just sit at home in their home country and they think like, well, I'm just going through a divorce and life isn't too good back home. I want to find myself a young, pretty woman in the Philippines. There's nothing wrong with that. Filipinas, they're very friendly. A lot of them have really fun personalities. You can really find a good woman in the Philippines. I totally believe that, because I have seen men find good women in the Philippines, so it is definitely possible. But the problem is when you as a man are in a situation where you are so emotionally fucked up because you're just going through a divorce yourself, and you have so much pain inflicted on yourself that all you really want to do is find another woman so you can escape all the emotions that are building up or that have built up inside of you, then it is not the right foundation to build a relationship on. Because to leave a relationship and enter another one right away is no fix to anything. And I've seen this happening so many times, and the mistake that guys make is that they don't allow enough time to pass for them to heal. They just rush from one relationship into the next without considering what has happened. They don't know what they did wrong. Oftentimes, we're at fault too. Not all the times, but oftentimes we're at fault. And if we don't allow enough time for us to heal because we can't cope with our emotions, or maybe because we don't want to be alone, we can't be alone. In fact, I've met a lot of people who are like this. I don't want to be alone. I don't like the breakup. Let me just find another person to get over it quicker. And that's a problem because you have no time, you have no pause, you have no break to really think about what had happened. And if that's the case, then you're just asking for trouble. So online, what a lot of guys would do is they, look at the girl and, be like, wow, this girl is great. She's very smiley, she's feminine, and she spends all her time with me. And that tells me that she's into me, and that tells me that, she really loves me. She's into you, she really loves you, she really wants to spend time with you. And the moment you get to the Philippines, you guys are going to be together and everything will be fine ever after. That's the mentality that men have, but that's not reality. Reality looks very differently. Reality is that you go to the Philippines, you have no idea who you've been talking to online. Of course, maybe you did some video calls, some voice calls. I get that, but still, you don't really know who you've been talking to, because at the end of the day, you don't really know a person unless you have spent at least, I would say, 6 months to 1 year with that person. And that throws a lot of people apart, like, no, you can know a person in a week or two. No, you can't. You can only know a person once you have gone through the good times and the bad times, through thick and thin. And can you do that online? Very rarely, if ever. Maybe if, you didn't send her money and, you had all the problems in your business and, you weren't able to come and it's been delayed, but still you haven't met. Yes, it's a good basis if that person still talks to you under these conditions, but still you don't really know who you're dealing with. So a lot of people fall in love with a idolized picture of who that person is without knowing if that person is actually like this. A big problem, right? And you don't know it until you meet her. So online, a person can tell you, hey, I have no kids, I'm not married. How do you prove that? How do you prove that? You cannot prove it. You cannot prove it until you're there. And even then, it's really difficult for you to prove it, because how do you prove it? I mean, do you do some kind of checkups? Do you talk to her family? They're going to be like, hey, look at this guy, he just arrived and he's already asking us some really personal questions. Why should we answer him? That's the mentality of people. So it takes a long time to really know a person. And so the mistake, once people are past the online stage and they actually meet the person live, in person, the mistake that they make is that they move in right away. The girl is already waiting for them at the airport, and of course, we all know that's a great feeling, so I'm not denying that. It's a fantastic feeling to go to a new place that you don't know, and you go there with knowing that there is a person who you think loves you. That is all good. But is it really reality? Is it really logical to suggest that that is actually the case? Well, it's perception. Perception is your reality until that changes, and then everything will be different. So what I'm saying here is that once you get to the place, and I've seen this so many times, like guys, they're going through breakups, they're going through divorces, they're going through financial burden, whatever, they're having a lot of stress in some area of their life. And that's very typically why men choose to move in with a girl on the first night, on the first day. Which is crazy, because you don't know that person. You've only really talked to her online, and you have not validated the information that she provided. You haven't seen an ID, you haven't talked to her family, you haven't done any of that. So they move in right away because they don't want to be alone, they feel scared, because if you have courage, you wouldn't do that. You don't know if you're the only guy that she's talking to, or if she's talking to another 5 to 10 other guys. You don't know that. You don't know if she's married, you don't know if she has kids, nothing. You don't know. You don't even know her job. I mean, what she told you might be true, might not be true. The mistake that you should not make is to move in with her right away. Just meet her a couple of times, and see how she is. Maybe you don't even like her. Maybe you're not attracted to her physically. And could there be anything worse than arriving late at night, having unprotected sex with a girl, and waking up the next morning, looking at her, and she's just not the right fit for you? That can happen. And it happened many times, so don't make that mistake. Take your time with this. It's not just about the Philippines. It's the same in any country you go to. You always have more options. The girls there, they have more options. They don't need to be with you. There's plenty of fish in the ocean for them as well. And so they are for you. So make sure you don't do that. Once you have already spent, some good amount of time with her, whether that's been like, 5 to 10 dates, or, you have already, I don't know, maybe traveled together a couple times, make sure you know her a little bit better. And then, become an investigator, be an inspector, Inspectors do very well in the business of dating, or in the world of dating. It's not really business. I mean, kind of is a business. It's a business transaction in some ways, or for some people. Make sure you do that, because at the end of the day, the last thing that you want is start a serious relationship with somebody who you don't know, because so much can happen that is not going to turn out in your favor. And again, the worst thing that can happen is that you get someone pregnant and then later on learn that certain things that you knew about her did not turn out to be true. Do you know of any particular dating experience in the Philippines that had gone wrong? And where are you currently located in the world? Leave a comment below and let us know. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on digital nomad locations, travel updates, and investment advice several times a week right now. And if you got some more time left, check out these videos.